Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm Ankit. You're watching the Indian Express analysis. This is StudyIQ IS. Today, 7th of August, 2 days before Rakhi. Right? Ankit, you're watching. Give me a second. Okay. So, let us start our today's discussion. We have 6 articles today because yesterday I felt very bad. We had a very good session yesterday, but it was only 5 articles. So, what's the point of we discussing anything for 40 minutes? We could have stretched it for 20 minutes more, right? So I've incorporated 6 articles today, and we are going to start by understanding what is Ayurveda aahara, right? Ahara is the word written there, but in India that means ahar. Just like the word people use Mahabharata, Rama or Ramayana, it's not Mahabharata or Ramayana, it's Mahabharat, Ramayana. Similarly, it's Ayurveda ahar. So we are going to understand what is this concept of Ayurveda aahara, especially when it becomes important because day by day the demand of Ayurvedic products in the market has been increasing. So government should obviously regulate it, right? So this is the purpose why we are discussing the word Ayurveda aahara today. This is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective and also from 2 because first of all it deals with regulation of the food products in India, which is the responsibility of FSSAI. In the second article, economy article, after a long period of time, we'll discuss what is the phenomenon of bond switching. Why does government undertakes this bond switching? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? We'll try to understand. In the third article, we'll be covering Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, a very important scheme of the government of India to support pregnant women, so that women, instead of working during the pregnancy period, they should stay at home and government will look to compensate them for their wage losses through the scheme. So how the scheme works, is it a central sector or a centrally sponsored scheme? If you have any doubts, please hold your horses because we'll try to cover it in our today's discussion. This is relevant from GS paper 2 and GS paper 1 perspective because it deals with a vulnerable section, that is women in India. This article obviously is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective. In the fourth article, we are going to cover the phenomenon of flash flood. As I've told you yesterday, there was very less amount of articles yesterday, but now since there has been sometimes due to the incident that happened in Uttarkashi, now we have more information about flash flood. So we are going to understand everything that you need to know about this geographical phenomenon and how it can be dangerous, especially in an area which is located on the higher altitude region, that are the Himalayas. In the fifth article, we're going to understand what is called as collusive litigation, and in this we'll understand how collusive litigation goes against the adversarial system of justice that is there in India. So that is we are going to discuss, and this is relevant from polity perspective. Flash flood is something relevant from geography as well as disaster management perspective, so GS paper 1 and 3. In the last article, we are going to understand how to prevent poaching of rhinoceros. The South African, they have started implementation of a rhizotope project. In rhizotope project, they will try to inject some radioactive materials in their horns, which won't be harmful for the health of the rhinoceros, but it will actually discourage the poaching of these animals so that their horns can be obtained and sold in the black markets. So this is relevant from science and tech as well as environment perspective. Hence, we can safely say GS paper 3 is the relevant paper here. Okay. Now, the notes of this session, as usual, they will be made available on the channel ATS Live, right? So ATS Live is the correct channel where you need to go and download the notes, which will be made available after the session ends. Well, aahara, it's actually pronounced as ahar, right? It's silent. The last A is silent. People use it for different patterns. In South, people usually pronounce it ahara, right? But it is actually ahar, the word how it is pronounced. Okay. Mamim, good morning. So let us exchange pleasantries. कौन कौन आए हो मेरे मौत का तमाशा देखने? Let's see. Just joking. Yes, happy Rupa. A Journal of an Aspirant, Benjir, good morning. Rishi, good morning. Stuti, Baga, Anuj Johar, Venus, Vanshika, Rishi, Suprabhat. Journal, excited for today's session. I am also excited. Anandu, Gaurav, Reshma, Manvi, Yashi, Sarang, Santwana, Disha, Sasmita, good morning. Rishi, Jui, Baga again, Bhamim, Anandu, Disha, Kanchan, Disha again, Shushmita, Vinodini, good morning all of you. How are you doing? Is everyone excited for the upcoming festival seasons? Because after Holi and Ram Navami, there's this big lag in India. So people, they usually have a habit of celebrating at least a festival once a month. So they get all charged up. Why isn't there a festival? So this happens for few months from the time of Ram Navami till the time Rakhi arrives. And Rakhi begins the onset of new festival season in India, which will continue up till the end of New Year's and you can say until Christmas. Rakhi will put a hole in my pocket also. Well, every brothers who all pay their sisters quite dearly, or who all gift your sisters quite dearly, please let me know. And who all are stingy? Vanshika, do you get good gifts from your brothers? Manju, Vinodini, Kanchan, Disha. So I want to know the perspectives of both men and women here. Okay, PHC staff centers knows me. Tell them to log in using their phones and watch this video. At least it will help with the views also, right? Okay, Venus, single child. Well, I am also a single child, but there are cousins, right? Two of my cousins live in Gurgaon, so I have to go to their house and get the Rakhi tied. Okay, Disha, they just give money. So money is also an equivalent of gift, right? I think so. Sometimes money can be better. Because the gift you may or may not like it, but with the money you can buy anything. Okay, your brother is younger than you, so you will also have to give him something. Okay, Stuti, you only gift him. So funny thing, na, men, they are not good enough to do anything. They can't even provide their sisters a gift for Rakhi. Right? iPhone. Okay, Kanchan, you're an elder daughter. One of my cousin sisters, she lives in Banaras. She sent me a link of an Apple iWatch. So I asked her, what is your phone that you're using? She said OnePlus. So I told her, your iWatch wouldn't work perfectly within OnePlus phone. But to my mistake, she demanded an iPhone then. So let us start with this article. Enough of the joking and time pass. Let us focus on our work. Ayush Ministry and FSSI, they have released a list of Ayurveda aahara food preparations. And you know why this list has been published by Ayush Ministry and FSSI? Any idea? Now these days, the demand for Ayurvedic products are on a rise. Primarily, this started after COVID-19 pandemic. This used to exist, but it skyrocketed after COVID-19 pandemic. People realized the importance of good immunity, and many genuine Ayurvedic products actually help you in boosting your immunity, and at max they won't harm you, right? So therefore demand of Ayurvedic products have increased. But the downside of this increased demand is that companies who are making usual products, they are now labeling their products as an Ayurvedic product. Now, how many of you know Hajmola tablets? Hajmola tablets are very popular, used for digestive purposes. I don't know, I don't have the capability of knowing their actual ability, but the company itself who manufactures these tablets, they call it as an Ayurvedic medicine, right? Similarly, many usual products like peanut butter, like churan, etc., the companies, they market them as Ayurvedic product. How can in the name of God a peanut butter be an Ayurvedic product? So this kind of a mislabeling is actually misinforming the people. People actually want good Ayurvedic products, but in the name of Ayurvedic products, companies are selling them normal products just by mislabeling them as Ayurvedic product, right? So that is why we need to understand which products are genuine Ayurvedic products and which are not, right? Similarly, there isn't a time if this practice goes unchecked, there would be a halwai or there would be a sweet shop who would start selling sweets and samosas and be label it as Ayurvedic product, right? So do you think such items can ever be an Ayurvedic product? So to make things easier, FSSAI, the food regulator in India, in collaboration with Ministry of Ayush, they have issued a list of Ayurvedic products which are made genuinely using the knowledge of Ayurveda and put them under a list known as Ayurveda Aahara list. Yes, companies have misused it, be it Patanjali. No one is left untainted by this, right? So we need knowledge, we need awareness, and we need fact check, right? So for that, Ayurveda Aahar category has been come up. Now the Ayurvedic Aahar, it means basically the food products that have been prepared according to the holistic dietary principles using the philosophy of Ayurveda, which is an ancient health and wellness system. Now this is the Ministry of Ayush. Can you let me know what all medical treatments are covered or regulated by Ministry of Ayush? This is basically an abbreviation. So Ayurveda is Ayush. What are others? Please let me know in the comments. ऋषि, तुमसे तो आना ही चाहिए आंसर. Now the core principles of this philosophy is that the food that will be enlisted in Ayurveda Aahar, they will focus on balance, seasonal appropriateness and use of natural ingredients and herbs with therapeutic properties. Now India genuinely is a country where for a greater part of the year there is a summer season. In southern parts, the entire year is summer season, right? So we should have food that should be climate appropriate or that should be weather appropriate. Now imagine if you eat very heavy oil fried food during the peak summer season, you'd be very uncomfortable, right? So Ayurveda takes cares of all these practices. Yes, Ayurvedic, Unani, Yoga, Siddha, homeopathic, correct, Jui. Right, so we can use these philosophies to make a product, and that product will only, genuine Ayurvedic products will only be included in Ayurveda Aahar. Now the regulatory background is that this initiative follows the FSSAI regulation, which officially recognize that there are food that are made using the traditional Ayurvedic recipes, ingredients and processes. So to authenticate these food, they are included in a list known as Ayurvedic Aahar. And this list has been taken by only those products which are made using those products that are mentioned in authoritative Ayurvedic texts. So only those authoritative Ayurvedic texts that highlight this is the material that you should use to make an Ayurvedic product, and only those products will be genuine, and these texts are mentioned in Schedule A and Schedule B of the order. So from these lists, they have taken down the list of ingredients, recipes and processes, and whichever products follows these guidelines, only those products will be included in the Ayurvedic Aahar. Understood? Now the purpose of this regulation is first of all to help the food business operators in India to offer good products with credible references so that they are manufacturing those products using the genuine Ayurvedic ingredients. Similarly, it enhances regulatory clarity. Earlier there was this no regulatory clarity. How would you know that the product available first of all is a genuine Ayurvedic product or not? And what about the correctness of the process also? So this you have highlighted using your regulation. This not just brings more regulatory clarity, but it also encourages the customers whenever they are buying the product, they know for sure it is a right product. And it also promotes the concept of wellness so that it leads to better nutrition and improvement in public health, right? And the significance is that it integrates India's ancient food wisdom with the mainstream food sector so that the food sector following the wisdom or ancient wisdom should provide authenticate and standardized products, right? So these are the benefits of Ayurveda Aahar. Now let's see if you are able to solve this question quickly. You know, these days na company are selling sugar syrup and calling it as a natural product. Do you think a syrup made out of plainly processed sugar is a natural syrup? This used to happen earlier with Ruafza. Now many companies have started their own versions of Ruafzas, which basically are sugar syrups. So tomorrow it here Pepsi would launch a cola saying it has protein cola. Similar problem exists with protein. Like Bonvita, yes. Well, these recognitions provide legal recognition to food products based on Ayurvedic principles, recipes, ingredients, correct? Under these regulation, Ayurvedic products must be approved by Ministry of Ayush before being sold in the market. Would it be incorrect, correct or incorrect? The answer is incorrect. You know, Ayush Ministry has only held FSSAI. The recognition and regulation of food sector is done by FSSAI. So whenever you are launching a product, you will have to get it certified by FSSAI, not the ministry, right? Well, who gives licenses to the banks? Does Ministry of Finance give licenses to the banks? The answer is no. It is the job of regulator of banking sector, that is RBI. Similarly, regulator of food sector in India is FSSAI. So it is taking help from Ministry of Ayush to formulate the guidelines, but implementation of these guidelines will be the responsibility of SSAI. So first option is right. Now this second question, government has saved rupees 560 crores in interest cost with the use of bond switching. So what is bond switching? Is it iski topi uske sar wala concept? Or is it equivalent to aloo dala sona nikala? I don't know how many of you get this reference. I used this reference once. I received a question, sir, how can you make gold out of potato? Well, to understand this reference, after the end of session in YouTube, just type Aloo se sona banao. You'll find the reference. Okay, now the Indian government has saved 560 crore rupees in interest rate payments in the current financial year by switching short-term bonds to long-term securities, extending its debt maturity and reducing the immediate repayment and interest pressure. Now, what are bonds? Any idea what are bonds? Bonds are financial instruments which highlight your debt obligation, right? And bonds have three features. It is the face value, it is the maturity date, and it is the coupon rate. Coupon rate is nothing but the interest rate that the bond pays you. Majority is the duration when the bond would redeem itself, right? Right, so there are different types of bond. Maturity of short term, that is, in case if you give out bonds and the maturity is less than 1 year, in economics, whenever I mention short term, that means the duration of that particular instrument is less than 1 year. Similarly, with maturity of equal to or greater than 1 year, those are long term financial instruments. Similarly, when bonds are issued and if they have a maturity of 2 years, 3 years, those are examples of long term bonds. And these are examples of short term bonds. Now suppose, Baga, you take money from me and you tell me, sir, please give me money, I will return you back in 1 month. And suppose Vanshika takes money from me and she says that, sir, I will return it back to you after 2 years. So who is better placed in this borrowing? Is Baga better placed or Vanshika better placed? Baga has borrowed money from me for 1 month. Vanshika has borrowed money from me for say 2 years. Obviously, Vanshika is better placed, right? Because she has to return back the money after 2 years. So she won't be that stressed. Baga would be stressed that he has taken money from me. He has to get, or Baga needs to return this money to me in just 1 month. So obviously, government also issues both of these kind of bonds, short-term bonds and long-term bonds. The problem with short-term bonds is that the government needs to return it as soon as possible. So for any loan taker, for example, in this case, the government, what would you want? You would want to take long-term loans because it eases out the pressure of repayment, right? Well, you would have strict timelines, but understand the problem of government. Government has less revenue, more expenditures. So whenever you have high expenditures, you consider of taking long-term loans because the pressure on you won't be so as high as compared to short-term loans. Understood this idea? So this is what government has done. Earlier it must have issued some short-term bonds. Now it has gone to those players and asked them that instead of short-term bonds, take this long-term bonds. I will pay you higher interest, but I will pay you all of that later on. Understood? So this is what government has done using the bond switching. It has switched short-term bonds. It has taken short-term bonds and in return it has provided long-term bonds to the borrowers. Saying that बाद में आने का बाबू भैया आता है ना हेरा फेरी 1 में, he says that पैसे लेने आ जाना, सब आ जाते हैं, said अब कल आने का. So government has done what Babu Bhaiya does. Okay, now bond switching is when the government through the RBI, obviously why through RBI? Because RBI is a debt manager of the government. So whenever government issues government securities, it won't go to you to sell the bonds. The responsibility of that is of RBI. RBI takes bonds from the government, sells it in the market, and whatever money RBI gets out of it, it gives to the government. Yes, Sunday को नहा धो के आने का. So government has said that 2 साल बाद नहा धो के आने का पैसा लेने के लिए. जय हिंद रोहन. Well, जय हिंद लास्ट में बोलते हैं. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र. Right, so government through RBI has committed this exchange. It has exchanged new bonds which have higher maturity, better coupon rate so as to make this thing attractive for the borrowers. The purpose is to extend debt maturity, manage redemption pressure and reduce the interest costs on a longer term. So whenever you take money for the short duration now, the risk is that you'll have to pay higher interest rate. And whenever you're exchanging this, you're committing, say that I will give you money later on, but since the money is available with me for longer term, now even though I pay smaller interest rate, but your overall profit out of that government security would be larger. Understand this? Now the mechanism is that government offers to swap short-term bonds nearing maturity for longer-term securities, and investors like banks, mutual fund, insurance companies, they exchange their holdings voluntarily. So government is not forcing them. Government is pleading them that please, Vicky, please. Now what is the benefit of government here? First of all, the government spreads out its repayment obligation. Now it won't have to worry that kal aa jayega koi naha dho ke paise lene, to what would I do? Therefore, it has reduced the immediate cash outflow which it could have used for other purposes. Similarly, it also smoothens the debt maturity profile, avoiding large repayment spikes of the government. Understood? Now, there is also a problem. First of all, it benefits investors. Obviously, it helps you make your portfolio more flexible and it helps you lock favorable yields in longer terms. Right? Do not have to worry what is yields. Whenever the bond yield chapter will be covered, I will do it for sure. I've also covered bond yield before, so the regular people here, they should recall what is a bond yield. If not, the time does not allow me to explain bond yield right now. I'll do it sometime else. Yes, that was a स्त्री reference. So उसमें लिखा होता है ना स्त्री, ओ स्त्री कल आना. So government has also done the same with borrowers. Oh borrowers, kal aana. Come tomorrow, please. So the risk considerations is also high. First of all, the yields in the market, they depend on market conditions. So if interest rate rise, investors might be reluctant to accept longer maturities. Now suppose if you're an investor, you have two options. Either you can deposit your money in the banks and take interest rates, or you can deposit or you can lend the money to the government and make interest income out of government securities. So you have two options: to make deposits in banks or to buy government securities. Now you as a very good investor, what would you consider? If the interest rates in the banks are high, so you will take the money out of government security and deposit in the banks. Similarly, if the deposit interest rates are very low, you will take your deposits out of the bank and you will invest in government securities. So government is saying that keep this government security for longer duration, but there is also a possibility that tomorrow or 1 year from now, there might be an increase in deposit rates. So what would the investors do then? They'll miss out on this money making opportunity, right? So this is the problem that the investors might face. Understood this? I've basically simplified it a lot. Do not need to worry about what is a yield curve. We'll discuss it sometime else. Now tell me the correct answer. Now in an offline class, I also use a lot of memes so that to keep the atmosphere in the class lively. But sometimes in the online mode, it does not help me understand the reactions of the students. Because when the students react well or they laugh on the memes, I know it has worked. But I won't know for sure if you're laughing behind the screens. So there is also a possibility that if I use a meme and if you don't understand, they'll think that sir is a retard. Well, I'm not catering to anyone via memes. I also enjoy memes. So it is also my way of expression. But you know the problem, when you send memes to your elder siblings or to your parents, they won't understand the reference because memes are something that young people are more acquainted with. Now, bond switching refers to compulsory replacement of long-term securities with short-term ones to reduce interest burdens. One of the key objectives of bond switching is to smoothen out the government debt maturity and avoid repayment spikes. This is obviously correct. The rising interest rates may reduce investor participation in bond switching programs involving longer maturity securities. This would be incorrect because rising interest rates would promote investors to take their money out of government securities and deposit in the banks. Now you understand why third statement is correct. Now tell me why is first statement incorrect. I told you this is a voluntary replacement, not a compulsory. Yes, Baga. Understood this? Yes. It is a voluntary. So these kind of questions can appear in your exam where one word itself would change the entire meaning of the statement. Now suppose Uzma, suppose you're a very smart investor and you have 100 rupees. You can either deposit it in a bank account or you can give this money to the government in exchange for government securities. Now suppose banks offer you higher interest rates. So what would you do? You'll take the money out of government securities and deposit in the banks. Similarly, if government offers you higher interest rate on government securities, you'll take money out of banks deposits and give it to government. So this is what is happening. So rising interest rates means banks are willing to offer higher interest rates to the customers. So investors would keep their money in banks, right? So in bank interest, we use the word interest rate, but for bonds, we use the word coupon rate. Both of them mean the same, but to differentiate between these two terms, we use it differently. Understood this? So option A is your right answer. Yes, all of you have gotten it right. Let me see. Yes, all of you have gotten it right. Sarang, bahut dino baad dekh lena ek baar. Vanshika, you'd gotten option C. That is not correct. Okay. Now moving to another topic. This I have taken from PIB because for very strange reason it did not appear either in the Hindu or in the Indian Express. Now Ministry of Women and Child Development has extended the special registration drive for Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana until the date of our independence, that is 15th of August. Now whenever a scheme appears in the news, it brings my attention to a very famous meme. So my responsibility as a teacher is what? To help you understand different aspects of the scheme. So for that, I need to shout the different aspects of the scheme. So this is my reaction now. I will zor zor se bol ke, I will tell you each and every aspects of this scheme, right? Just like Raju does it with Rajpal Yadav. Now the type of scheme, that is PM Matru Vandana Yojana, it is a centrally sponsored scheme. And in this, as the word itself suggests, the funding is shared between both central and state governments. Now this is a scheme which provides monetary benefits to the beneficiary in form of cash directly into their bank account, hence the name DBT scheme. Understood this, and it was launched in 2017. Why was it launched? Because we have seen women who work in unorganized sector, who work as a labor, even when they are pregnant with a child, they do not stop working because working helps them earn money, which is very important for them. So government wants the women to stay in good health during their pregnancy period. So that is why government is trying to say, please rest during your pregnancy period. We will compensate you for your wage loss partially. So this provides partial wage loss compensation to women who are workers in the unorganized sector, so that during the pregnancy period and after their child is born, to take the care of their child, they should take adequate rest. And this also promotes health seeking behavior among pregnant women and lactating mothers. Understood the reason? So whenever we are understanding any scheme, first you need to ascertain what problem it is trying to solve. This was the problem and this will be solved by Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. How does it solve it? Now we'll cover it. Now what you need to understand, it covers women majorly from socio-economically challenged backgrounds. Right? So women obviously who is working in a good company should get a maternity benefit in form of leave and paid leave. Whereas women who are working as a laborer, who are working in the unorganized sector, they don't have such kind of luxury. So that is why government is helping them. And it is applicable to first 2 children. And second child, it is only applicable when that child is a girl child. Okay? Yes. Because central government provides maternity leaves. Private companies also provide maternity leaves to its employees, but do unorganized sector provide such benefits? The answer is no. So the chances are these women already are making very less money, and if they stop working, how would they manage the household? So this is the dilemma they face. So to help them or to ease their conditions, enable them to make rest, the government is bringing such a scheme. Now I told you this scheme provides monetary benefits. So 5,000 rupees is provided from early pregnancy till childbirth, and additional 1,000 rupees will be provided under a subcomponent after they give their delivery to the child in an institutional setup. Institutional setup means in a healthcare facility. Understood? So government is trying to provide them with benefit and also encourage institutional delivery by providing them extra 1,000 rupees. Now, this money obviously isn't provided to these women at one go. First of all, they will get money in installment. The first 1,000 rupees, they'll get it when they register the pregnancy officially. The second chunk of installment, which is of 2,000 rupees, they'll get it after they complete 6 months of their pregnancy. And not just that, they at least should conduct or allow the healthcare professionals to do one checkup on them. So on completing the second condition, they'll get rest 2,000 rupees. Whereas the remaining 2,000 rupees, they'll get it after the registration of the birth, so that they get Aadhaar card, birth card, etc. made, so that afterward when this child becomes eligible to vote, his name shouldn't be excluded from the SIR list, right? Similarly, child should also get the first cycle of immunization for BCG, OPV, DPT, hepatitis B, etc. So all these vaccines, only when they are provided, the child's birth is registered, then only the mother gets the last installment of the benefit. Similarly, it also cares of the women. God forbid, in case if a woman gives birth to a child which is dead at the time of birth, or there is a miscarriage in her pregnancy, then that won't be considered as a case of providing benefit. So the next time woman gets pregnant, her case will be treated as a fresh case so that she is eligible for the next birth, right? So government is undertaking what? Compassion towards such women. Understood? Will you remember all the installment, or should I need to shout it again? जोर जोर से चीख चीख के फिर बताना पड़ेगा. Now solve this question. क्या बोल रहे हो धीरज? इज मॉनेटरी बेनिफिट्स द कॉम्पनसेशन द गवर्नमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर हेल्थ केयर सेक्टर? यस. Well, this scheme provides maternity benefits to all women up to 2 live births regardless of the gender. Incorrect. I told you it is available up to 2 live births, but only in the case of second live birth if it is a girl child. The second, cash incentive under the PMI is disbursed as a lump sum after the birth of the child. Incorrect. I told you it is disbursed as an installment. Only women employed in the unorganized sector are eligible for the benefits. Incorrect. Mostly it is given to women in unorganized sector. So all these three are incorrect and we have to identify statements that are not correct. So the option D is your right answer. Yes. Good. दिशा एक बार देख लेना फिर से. रेस्ट ऑल ऑफ योर राइट. यस. Now you can take admission to one of our batches. We have again started a batch which will start from 8th of August, that is tomorrow. You can take admissions to these batches. These batches will provide you each and every topic that is important from UPSC's perspective. For example, I teach economy. Praveen sir, you may know, he teaches polity, and other faculties take up their respective subjects. Not just that, you also get test series, mentorship support, etc. And the course starts as low as 9,999. But मैं optional नहीं कराता, sorry. Optional, other faculties do it. So you can take admissions to it. To get maximum discounts, you need to use the code ATS Live. You all know how to apply the code? You all know how to apply the code? Now moving to the next article, it talks about Uttarkashi's flash flood, which led to heavy rainfall and the disaster that happened there. So in our today's discussion, we'll cover what are flash floods, how it happens, what are the factors responsible for it, because this happened in Uttarkashi's Dharali town, which triggered a torrential rain leading to death of many people, and many people also have been missing. And not just that, not just loss of life, but loss of property and economy has also happened in that area. Okay. So in that regard, let us understand what is a flash flood. Whenever there is a sudden and intense rainfall that happens, it leads to flood within a short period of time. So whenever sudden and intense floods happen due to increased amount of rainfall for a short period of time, that is of about 6 hours of heavy or extreme rainfall, whenever this situation happens, these are examples of flash floods. So it can happen due to dam breakage, it can happen due to outburst of glacial lakes, rapid snowmelt, etc. And rain is a triggering factor. So what are the features of flash flood? It is rapidly onset, that it gives little to no reaction time to the people. Similarly, it is of very short duration and the water levels rise and recede very quickly. So the ability to understand the developing situation reduces here. Similarly, it is of very high intensity. The strong currents of water, they are capable not just to sweep people away, but also damage their vehicles and infrastructure, which we have seen happened at Uttarkashi. And it is also very localized in its impact. It impacts a very small amount of area, but in terms of damage, it is very intensive. So these are the important features of flash floods. Now, government has conducted a study on the vulnerability of flash floods in different parts of the India. So, why do we need to conduct such a study? First of all, we do not have a granular level of data of what different areas or how vulnerable they are to flash floods. Similarly, we do not have the adequate maps that delineate the susceptibility of different areas for flash flood. So we need to understand them before we construct any infrastructure over the land. Similarly, it identifies Himalayas, West Coast and Central India as the major hotspots of flash floods in India. Where this flash flood happened this time? In the Himalayan region. Understood? So rainfall and snow melting. Suppose during the summer months, what happens? The glacier present in the upper reaches of the Himalayas, they melt, and these are checked in form of natural dams. Those are known as natural check dams. So what happens in case there is a very intense amount of short duration rainfall? It increases the water in those glacial dams. So there's a possibility that waters may overflow, and there is also a possibility that the natural dam that has checked the flow of water might also get damaged. So this will lead to empty out of entire glacier's water, which would then destroy an area. So rainfall may lead to these events. Understood now, Dheeraj? Yes, Shashmita. 10 से 12 feet मलबा दम गया. Now the regional drivers of the flash flood, you have to understand flash floods happens, yes, due to cloudburst also. Cloudburst basically is a phenomena that leads to intense rainfall for a very short duration of time. Now, what are the regional drivers of flash flood? Flash flood happens in different areas for different reasons. In Himalayas, the terrain is very steep and the elevation, it drives high risk areas. So the areas which are there in the high elevation or on the slopes, they are majorly would be affected by such flash floods. Similarly, western coast and central area, they have high flashiness. There is a rapid runoff. So whenever there is a rapid runoff of earth or soil, it leads to increase in flood susceptibility. Whereas within the entire Ganga basin, the southern Himalayan region, that is known as Shivaliks or the sub-basins, they are more prone than central stretches. Why? Because they are located on the slopes. So in case of any glacial outburst, in case of any intense rainfall, the waters would flow down the slopes and then damage the area, just like it damaged in the Uttarkashi. Now let us also understand what are the causes and risk factor. Now the extreme or the important cause is the more than 3/4 of the flash flood happens with the combination of extreme rainfall and saturated soil combination. You all understand how it affects extreme rainfall, but do you think how soil saturation helps here? Now soil has the ability to absorb surplus water, but what if soil is saturated with water? It won't be able to absorb it, the excess rainfall, and on the slopes, the waters from the higher reaches would follow or flow downwards. Similarly, only 25% are individually caused by extreme rainfall. So you have to understand, in addition to extreme rainfall, the saturation of soil also needs to be there. And this is very much prevalent during the rainfall season, because during the rainfall seasons, the soil is already saturated out of water, and whenever extreme rainfall happens, even though for a short duration of time, it increases the risk of flash floods and cloud outburst. Similarly, saturated soil prevents water absorption. I have already told you this, and only 23% of extreme rainfall events are triggered floods within 6 hours. So prolonged rain is a big factor or a contributing factor here. Prolonged rain will increase the saturation level of soil and will also increase the propensity of the flood. Now there is also another factor that is driving this, is climate change impact. Now warmer is the atmosphere, you need to understand the more moisture the atmosphere will be able to hold. Therefore, the chances are that the rainfall might get more and more heavier due to the phenomena of climate change, which also increases the possibility of flash floods. The elevated terrain also provides high momentum to the flash flood, yes. So it strucks down the areas with higher momentum and higher impact. Now, increase in extreme rainfall in the last 40 years has doubled. During pre-monsoon season, it has increased by 56%. So basically, there is an increase in extreme rainfall, and this has contributed to more occurrences of flash floods. And flash floods incidents have risen sharply since 1999, especially in the basins of Brahmaputra, Ganga and Krishna rivers. Okay. Now shifting flood patterns we have also seen there. Previously non-prone sub-basins, these non-prone basins now witness more amount of rainfall. Similarly, non-prone areas also have a higher stream flow of waters, that is the wet hours. Well, if it is flood prone, how? Well, it is not usually flood prone, right? So that is why people don't know that a flash flood is going to hit them. This can actually happen in a matter of few hours. Some existing flood-prone zones show reduced wet hours. So this highlights that the vulnerability zones might change with time. So if we find one vulnerability zone right now, we can't say for sure that this region would continue to remain vulnerable for the next 20 years. And similar is the case with non-vulnerable areas, because we understand rainfall is increasing, the development is increasing, which is also destroying the soil, and all of this adds to the risk factors of the flash floods. Now, what are the adaptation and mitigation strategy? First of all, we need region-specific plans considering the topography, soil, hydrology, etc. Not just considering the factor of rainfall intensity, because I told you, rainfall only plays a role of about 23% in total amount of flash floods, whereas rainfall intensity combined with soil capacity to absorb water plays a larger role. So, in that case, we can improve early warning systems. We need to send more satellites into space. We need to attach more sensors in the areas, which will help improve our disaster preparedness. We also need to invest in climate resilient infrastructure, update the land use planning so that the developments or for sure won't happen in the areas which are more vulnerable to floods. Similarly, we need to identify emerging hotspots and take measures to reduce the risk in those areas. Understood? Now moving to the next article. This article appeared somewhere, I don't know where, but this is a very important article because Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance of what is known as collusive litigation. Yes, Nisar would help. Yes, good. These kind of remote sensing satellites now, these would help you understand what are the glacial lakes formation and what is the probability of those glacial lakes becoming responsible for flood. Not all glacial lakes are dangerous, but only those glacial lakes which have a very thin natural dam, those are risky. This also happened in Kedarnath at a much larger scale. Now this has also happened in the Uttarkashi region. Now Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance of what is known as collusive litigation, where Bangalore Developmental Authority officials are involved. Can you let me know what is a suo motu cognizance? The word suo motu, what does it mean? Yes, on its own. So it is not necessary that Supreme Court needs someone to file a complaint. It can also on its own consider a case. Right. So the word that I've highlighted here is the word collusive litigation. What do you think the word collusive litigation means? Well, it refers to a lawsuit where parties who are involved, they are not genuinely fighting with each other. Rather, secretly, they are cooperating with each other to achieve certain predetermined outcome. And here the parties may share a common goal of interest, and they are often using the judicial process or manipulating judicial process for their own personal benefit. And this any judicial system won't let it happen. So such judicial system, it undermines what is known as adversarial system of justice that is prevailing in India by creating false dispute and abuse the court's time, abuse the legal system to circumvent and benefit for their own personal interest. You understand the word adversarial system? Now, in adversarial system of justice, which is prevalent in India, what happens is that courts, they play the role of a neutral party. So, first party would file a case, and it may also involve another party, that is the second party. So both of these parties will put their arguments in the floor of the court, and it is the responsibility of the court to decide who is correct and who is incorrect. and then they will give an award in a favor of either first or second party. So this is what is known as adversarial form of justice. Court is a neutral party. Please remember this. Court is a neutral party. So for example, suppose if you commit a murder, so you will be the first party, right? And who will be the second party in this case? The second party would be the state, because while committing a murder, you have broken one of the laws of the state, that is the right to life. So state will present the case, it will give evidences to the court that first party, you are responsible. And if court finds you responsible by considering the evidences given by the state, then only you will be punished. Court is neutral. There is a word used in Hindi like andha kanun. This is used for this purpose only. Understood? Now in India, collusive decrees can be set aside if proven in the code of law that the parties are involved in collusion, and this can only be highlighted when the collusion is highlighted to the court by a third party. So court on its own won't figure out if there is a collusion, because court andha hai, kanun is andha. Someone needs to highlight to the court that see, these two people are colluding with each other. So whenever you're highlighting the instances of collusion, it is the burden on proof on the challenger to prove this in the court of law. And the courts have the authority to intervene in such cases to uphold the integrity of the judiciary and end the case therein. Right? So this is what is known as collusive litigation, and it can be challenged in the floor of the court by a third party, but the burden of the proof then would lie on the challenger. Now I've told you what is an adversarial system. Here opposing parties file a case and the court acts as a neutral judge. So they are involved in competition basically to prove their argument. And the core idea behind this adversarial system of justice is that the truth would emerge out of the clash of opposing viewpoints, and you would require to give them the floor so that the rigorous examination of evidences, proofs, etc. should happen. Right? And only when you're able to persuade the court of law, then only you win the case. Now there was this case, there was this PYQ in 2018 regarding what is rule of law. So I've changed that question to suit our today's discussion. First one is obviously correct. Judge acts as a neutral referee between the prosecution and the defense. The parties to the dispute are responsible for presenting their own evidence and then the argument. Correct. The court actively investigates facts and gathers evidence to ensure justice. Is it a form of adversarial system of justice? The answer is incorrect. This is called as inquisitorial form of justice. Right? This is not what is there in India. In India, we follow adversarial system of justice. Court is a neutral third party. Who investigates the case? Police. Yes. So it is not the responsible of court to do that. The system is commonly followed in countries where common law traditions prevail, like Britain, like India, etc. So third is incorrect. Option B is the right answer. Yes. Now, there's also a last article, but it's 11:57. So let's end the session here. We'll cover this article tomorrow. Okay. So let us meet tomorrow again at 11 when we'll pick up from this article and cover the new articles. Okay. So have a great day. Aaj maza aaya, but my back is breaking because I haven't had good sleep. So I'll meet you tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a good day.